Hey, what's up, Dance Fam? Welcome to another episode of The Session. We have a very special stay-at-home edition since we haven't been here, and we're all staying at home nowadays during this pandemic. I'm Russ, a.k.a. Lock and Robin, your host, as always, and today we had two special guests with me, Cliff Cabute and Fred Briones. What's up, guys?
How's it going?
As you can tell, we're not in our normal studio. Well, I am at least, but we are doing a Zoom call as everyone else is doing nowadays. And the reason why we wanted to do this this edition of the session is because of what's going on nowadays. Like, there's a pandemic out there. Everyone has to stay at home. Classes are getting canceled. Dance classes, you can't go out to them. If you're teaching, you can't teach. And so what people are getting driven more towards are doing online classes, virtual classes, using Zoom or whatever, mostly Zoom, kind of crashing servers and whatnot. But instead of me kind of talking about this, I want to bring it over to my special guest. So Cliff, what's up, man? How you doing?
Pretty good.
Cliff, you were a part of MindTricks dance crew, Jedi MindTricks dance crew back in the day. I'm not even sure if you called it dance crews back in the day.
Tribe.
Yeah.
And also working at the Get Down studio. Is that right?
Yeah. So I've been, MindTricks, and actually before I joined up with the MindTricks crew, I was a part of another crew called Roughnecks.
Roughnecks, that's right.
Yeah, and that actually, our popularity drove us over to MindTricks, kind of recruiting us. But that was back in the 90s, so I've been part of the dance scene for quite a few years, and it's been fun. I've been continuing on with the dance scene, obviously. And it's just that love for the whole community part is why I really stay here and try to provide as much support as I can. Even though that my age is kind of catching up with me these days, I still teach, but my body obviously is not as fit and healthy. Yeah,
I'm getting there too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you guys, both you and Fred are located in the Bay Area, just so we can put that out there. I'm in DC. And you guys are over in California. So that's how we're doing this. It's pretty awesome. Fred Briones, part of the Freestyle Dance Collective. What's going on, man?
How's it going? I'm glad I was able to be part of this podcast. I've been in the dance scene almost a little bit longer than Cliff. You're what, 50? I'm kidding. No, but since the 90s, every city in the Bay Area had a crew, had a tribe. I was in a crew from the Richmond area called Boobala Tribe for years. And, even after that, when the whole dance crew kind of scene kind of died and the B-boy scene started picking up in the Bay Area, I've always been part of like the dance scene. I used to choreograph for San Francisco State. A lot of the college dance teams then, and I kind of saw the rise of the college teams. I think I saw the first chain reaction routine at Friendship Games, and ever since then, I've seen Cliff when he was performing at a young age, and the rise of the whole like dance crew, dance team started to pick up, and then I started family, and then kind of broke off from that. And once my son started getting into dance, he's 24 now, turning 25 on Monday. Nice. I was so amazed on what has happened in the time that I kind of like took a break, and the fact that it continued, it evolved, and it's everywhere. And, didn't realize the influence on the Bay Area on the entire dance scene. I know we were talking earlier, but,
yeah.
The crazy thing is how like teams like Cliff's teams or MindTricks or Housing Authority here in the Bay Area has influenced so many dancers, dance teams. It's really crazy and amazing. But now I don't dance. I'm a retired dad. So I drive my daughter. My daughter takes classes with Cliff. She's in the freestyle dance scene out here. I work with the youth and with the Freestyle Dance Collective, and kind of some support and promote freestyle dance in the youth here in the Bay Area.
Man, that's awesome. Much respect. I'm kind of where you are or where you were. I'm kind of taking a break where, I was dancing before really full time, and then got married, and then it kind of just all went downhill after that. Kind of relaxing. But now, I'm trying to keep up with trying to do this podcast and this website. So we got two OGs in the house today. You guys listening on podcast. So let's get into it. The reason why I wanted to guys or bring you two on here is because of what you guys are started recently, maybe in the past week or so, online on Facebook, with this tech support group online on Facebook, and what you guys are doing. In fact, instead of me telling you what you guys are doing, why don't you guys kind of explain what you guys are doing with this group?
Yeah, sure. So ever since the stay-at-home order here in California was in effect, we obviously the Get Down Studios started having to teach online classes, and then just within testing alone, I don't even think we even did our first one. Like, I already started seeing some of the problems, and talking with Fred back and forth, since we're both kind of in this audio-visual kind of spectrum and everything, we started talking and just trying to see, like, okay, what's going on here? And with that, it just kind of kept on going. After the first set of classes happened, we started hearing from all studios and all dancers, because a lot of dancers out here actually hold their own classes aside from the studios and everything. So studios may have a little bit more openness as to, like, what to use or anything, but it's a lot of single or solo dancers that are trying to do their own classes at home as well for their own personal use. And just hearing all this experiences and problems that they're running into, just got me and Fred going at it. And I'll let Fred take over in a second, but Fred's actually the one that initiated the group, and I came in after. So so Fred, what actually drove you to actually start the Facebook group?
Yeah, so I started using Zoom back in 2013 at the university that I work at here in the Bay Area. And it was basically a free video conferencing software that we used to kind of have professors. The first one we ever did was, I think it was Steven Spielberg. He was somewhere in his Hamptons home. And sorry, is it okay for me to use Steven's name?
Yeah, man.
But and it was my first thing that I had to do, so I had to figure out what to do, and it was horrible. I mean, we couldn't even the share slide, share media, share video. It was, you can only talk. We only could do what we're doing now, and the audio was horrible. And anyway, fast forward to now, and we use it for lots of meetings. Remote users, but we were not using Zoom 100% to hold virtual online classes, because the software alone, something like Zoom, Blue Jeans, or WebEx, it's not meant for that interactivity the way we kind of want it to be, right?
Right.
And so when we first did it, I was like, cool, students are using it, dance studios are using it, but hold on, how are they going to do this synchronous class? Because I already knew there was lag just by talking. How are they going to play music? Wait a minute, are they going to use a speaker? And then I remember even before the first class that my daughter took, I noticed is like, there's that echo cancellation. There's all this technology behind it. How are the teachers going to teach an hour class when there's so many tech problems, even by just talking? And I don't think I even talked to Cliff yet at that time. And, I think after that, me and Cliff talked, and I was like, dude, there's these problems with Zoom I think people aren't even realizing. And, with Cliff's background and just us kind of like going back and forth, we kind of said, man, we got to try to fix this because it's not going to work. And these people, I think in the Bay Area, and I want to say most families, that connection of being in class with students, being in class with a teacher, we need to fix it, because we can't just start posting YouTube videos and doing on demand. We have to fix this kind of issue with the interactivity and two-way communication before it gets bad and people just say, screw it, I'm not taking any classes, I'm not paying for classes, and next thing you know, the dance schools close down and nobody's dancing anymore. So I think that was it. And the connection, me and Cliff are friends, and one of these things where we're like, dude, we got to do something. I mean, and using our backgrounds together, I mean, we were like, hey, dude, let's put a group together. And I think it was that a week ago, Cliff, or a little bit over a
little
week,
over
right?
a week. Yeah.
And then now we have a little over 100 users, and we don't even know where everybody's from, but obviously there was a problem, and we wanted to kind of get ahead of the game and kind of say, look, man, let's help everybody out, and let's try to do this because we're going to be in the shelter in place for a while, and so we got to solve this problem before people just give up.
It's awesome because, like, and me kind of just being on, you know, the interwebs, surfing social media websites, whatever, or Facebook, Instagram, all that jazz. People are, you know, getting driven to using whatever means possible to stay afloat in this economy right now. You know, stimulus check aside, you know, however, whatever that means to you. So and that's like, you know, use Zoom, and all I want to do is just teach a class. They may not be able to interact, and I may not have anything but my phone or my laptop, and I just want to dance for everyone and kind of have people join. You know, most of the time it's almost free. I think when people host their own stuff, it's free because they don't know how to charge people per se. You know, and then send a link in response to that. So what you guys are doing is pretty awesome. And just want to shout out what the Facebook group is so we can get that 100 people to more. Not that I want to overload you guys. So the Facebook group name is called Live Streaming Online Dance and Music Class Tech Support Group. Check it. I'll put it in the description below so you guys can find it. But that Facebook group again is Live Streaming Online Dance and Music Class Tech Support Group. On Facebook. Is there a link you guys have that might bring you there?
There is one. Actually, I just changed it last night, and the whole name wouldn't fit. So you actually just take group out of the name and plug it in on facebook.com/groups/ what's the name again, Russ?
Live streaming online dance and music class tech support.
Yeah. So leave out the group and you'll be able to find it that way.
And it's open. So if they just search for it, they'll find it. We'll add them usually. I mean, me and Cliff are online like 24/7. So definitely we can add them. And, you know, it's not just for the Bay Area. I mean, we want people from all around because, you know, I mean, Cliff has provided lots of blog articles, tutorials. He's put in work. But let's say, I mean, someone might have a different solution or that fits them. Mm-hmm. And so definitely hit us up, post on there. And we want to keep it engaging. I know, I mean, we put a lot of like articles and blog posts there already, but we want to keep people engaged. We don't know where it's going to go, but obviously there's people who have issues and we don't want it to always be issues. We want people to post like, oh, shoot, thank you. This works for us. And if we can keep that going, you know, someone mentioned on one of the webinars we had is by going and showing proper Zoom settings, it's given her, what was it, Cliff, like 2 to 4 hours a week of extra work that she's getting paid for now. So we didn't think it's going to create jobs or something like that. But
sure.
I mean, I didn't even think about that.
That's awesome.
But now it's given her an extra 4 hours of income. Or I don't know how much it was, but still, I mean, that was like, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's really good. So like, let's kind of get into it. Like, I don't want to get too deep into how you guys, or all the solutions that you guys came up with, but here's what I will do. I'll ask, what are the top issues that you guys see, that most people are facing nowadays when it comes to teaching these online classes, whether it's with Zoom or Facebook Live or IGTV or something like that?
Yeah, so with Zoom in particular, and obviously a lot of the studios are using Zoom so that, you know, they can still generate their income and, you know, sustain their business. So with Zoom being the dominant platform for studios and also dancers that are trying to support themselves, it's always been about using that internal microphone as your primary source of audio. And, you know, a lot of dancers, you know, we don't got money to be buying all kinds of equipment and gear. In the music scene, it's a little different. A lot of DJs, a lot of producers, you know, they have a lot of this gear already too, right. You know. Right. But there's still problems across the board, even with music classes. So with that in mind, the first problem was always the quality of audio, that they're receiving just from the internal mic alone. And because a lot of dancers have, running speakers in the background, well, Zoom's video conferencing settings are set for presentations. And so you only want to hear the presenter.
Right.
You don't want to hear all that background noise or anything else that's happening in the background. And so by default, it's going to try to knock out that. Well, for dancers, it's going to knock out that background music.
That's what they need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. So that was the first problem. And to solve that, what a lot of people started using was in Zoom, there's a share feature. And you can share your desktop as well as the sound coming from your computer. So people started using that and said, oh, man, the music sounds awesome now. But there's a problem. Generated the second
delay
issue.
Now, right?
Correct. So that whole desyncing issue was another thing. And then, of course, I actually talk a lot about that in the webinars that we've done, as well as, some of the articles that I wrote as to the technical background as to why. Because unfortunately, a lot of people were just kind of like dealing with it, and they say, well, that's just the way it is. Well, as tech geeks, we want to solve these things, right? It's like, no, it's not good. Like, I want to fix this for people so that we can enjoy the experience, right? And we even hear it from some of our students at the studio too. Like, there's mixed feelings, right? Some of them said, oh yeah, I can deal with it. But those are probably the guys that actually, are used to taking classes, and, they're on that intermediate advanced level of, dancing already. So they can deal with it. It's the beginners that they're just like, I don't know. I can't even learn this way anymore, because I feel like I'm dancing off beat. Right. So that was the second issue. And then, of course, all the settings we have to change in Zoom as to what to do to kind of, deal with these default settings. But now, after that share feature and people started not using that again, you're back into the original problem, right? So
not being able to hear the music.
Yeah, and it's in the background, and then it's dealing with, well, can I put my speaker close to my laptop? But then now you can't hear me because I got to be away from my laptop, and they need to hear my instructions. So it's this back and forth fight between, what do you want to hear more, the music or myself? Because you're not going to be able to hear both.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so man, it's a lot to unpack, because
it is.
I mean, it's like Fred said, like, this was not, Zoom was really not made for this kind of interactive atmosphere. I mean, it is in a sense of just quick, conversations back and forth where one person talks, there's a delay, but people pause, and then they talk back, and then, back and forth on that, in that response, and maybe sending PowerPoint slides or something like that, something stagnant and not really moving all the time, or not audio processing all the time. So how can you make it easier for these teachers, or these primarily teachers who are trying to get to their students or teach for their students, and when I say the easiest way, what's the cheapest way?
Wow. Yeah, I think the first thing, because I think me and Cliff approached it in a kind of like two different ways at first, because I think we're like, hey, Cliff, let's just, we could use like an external mixer and, USB. Yeah, we got that. And, we could do like a lavalier and bypass the computer and use the sound card on these mixers. And we were like, oh, cool. But how many people have a mixer?
Right.
How many people have lavalier mics? And then, wait a minute, shipping? You can't get anything for another month.
About that.
And so, luckily, Cliff, with his background in even like gaming and streaming, he had some ways to do it on the PC, not so much on the Mac. And then that's where Cliff didn't sleep for the past couple of days and kind of figured it out. And I'll let him talk about it. But I think, we have a viable solution for Mac users. There are one for the PC, but this is all for free. And so I'll let Cliff go ahead and talk about what happened and how he came about it.
Yeah, I mean it's just a combination of like techniques. I mean Russ is into gaming too, and like he's he knows a lot
It's
about
not
it.
about me.
But it was just a combination of knowing where to look for resources. Because if you just look into the dance community resources out there, you're just gonna get false information. Actually, Fred showed me a few videos of them talking and seeing if this solution would work, and they were they were on the wrong track of looking and approaching the problem. But if you look into the gaming world, they're high on streaming. I mean,
Yeah.
Twitch has taken off, and there's, even Facebook and YouTube, they know now that the live scene is all about gaming. And so their, focus was starting to go just for gaming. I think it's Facebook, right? Facebook Live, they have Facebook Live, but then they have a Facebook gaming section, right?
Just
Only
to get people off of off of the live use for the reasons. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, right. So that's the whole thing is like, look to where like there's a lot of resources to use. And it's definitely in the gaming world because they're the professionals at this point. And so it's just really like a ton of research, right? Like trial and error. I must have gone through at least like 30 different cases and tried them all, and then kept on going. And that's just on the Mac side. Like, Windows side was kind of easier because, obviously most gamers are all PC Windows users. So that was kind of an easy solution. But it was the Mac world that it was just kind of crazy. And then it's funny because I had to use multiple resources to understand like what's Mac doing on the OS side and what they're locking down that's preventing me from doing stuff like on the PC side. So with that in mind, I was just like, okay, I can't just use the gaming world of resources because they're mainly PC. So
Right.
I resorted to the DJ and producer world. And so in the combination of two, because the music industry is mainly Mac, Mac users out there.
Right.
So the combination of the two is really what made it work for me. And it was just finding what they were doing on the gaming world and how they were achieving this. And then just trying to find out on the music world, what were they using, what platforms or software they were using that can, basically achieve the same thing that the Windows guys are using. And so with that, I was just kind of testing all these things, and finally, just one night, I think it was like 3:30 in the morning, that I messaged Fred. I was like, "Yo, I found it, man!" Dude, I was so stoked. Yeah, for real. So yeah, that was the hardest part was the Mac side, and again in the dance industry too, everybody wants to be on Mac. Me personally, like I'm both. Like I'll always support both, and it's like you have to know both if you want to be any part of a tech guru. Just understand just tech in general. So it doesn't matter whether you're a fanboy of this side or a fanboy of that side. Understanding both is what really truly gets you ahead in the game. And yeah, so it was awesome. When I found it, I was just like, this is it. And I hope everybody from here on out is gonna like enjoy their experiences from now on. Whoever uses these methods and uses these techniques, I guarantee their students are gonna have a much more enjoyable time doing these online classes.
And you well, don't leave us in suspense. What's the app called?
Okay, so
the cliff method.
So a lot of the first one is called I Show You Capture, and I believe I forgot what the equivalent is on the Windows side, but it was mainly developed for Mac to capture just any sounds that are coming off of your computer, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but the trick now is how do you get that into Zoom? And Zoom's problem was the whole issue of just it only accepts 2 left and right channels in there. But you need to get the mic and additional music in there, which causes more channels than 2 because your microphone usually eats up channels 1 and 2. And even, I mean, most USB mics or internal mics will always eat up two channels, especially on MacBooks. Some other ones I think they configure it over to where it's only mono on PCs or Windows laptops. But on the Mac side, it does use a stereo internal mics, so it eats up those first two channels already. And so the trick was, okay, well, how am I going to get the rest of the channels in here, with music? So we're using a free routing mixer called Audiocast, and that can be found in the App Store. And so what that does is that you can mix multiple channels and inputs into a single 2-channel output.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that way Zoom can accept all that. You just change it over to that iCapture card Audiocast in Zoom, and boom, you get all the clear and clean audio that's coming directly from your computer straight into the mic input channel in Zoom. Yeah.
Dang, that's pretty cool. Does that affect, I guess, like if they were to pump it out of their headphone jack to speakers at that point?
Right. So by the settings, so yeah. So getting a little deeper into the solution here, you're basically updating. You also have to update your sound settings, and you have to kind of like group them all. And on a Mac, it's called Audio MIDI Setup, and that's native to the OS, where you can aggregate and combine a multitude of input or output devices into one group. But even though you group it in there in the OS, you still have all of those multiple channels. So yeah, apps and whatever you want to use it for, while it'll recognize it as one group, you still have the problem of all the channels in that group. So you're not combining the channels, you're just combining the group as a selection. Sure. It's Audiocast that actually then lets you combine the channels all into a single 2 channels or 1 channel even.
Thing. And I think you released it today, right? You made a little blog post article about that?
Not an article. I actually did a YouTube tutorial on this one.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
And this can be found on your website?
Yeah. So I do have a website.
Don't want to rewind this.
Yeah, for sure. So my YouTube channel, you can find me at Get Down with Cliff. And from there, I actually have 2 channels named Get Down with Cliff, my primary one and my brand one. So the brand one is actually more on the dance and music scene. I'm just kind of using the other one as more of a starter and just kind of tech post and just discussions about dance in general. So if you find 2 of them and you don't find them on the first one, go to the other one. Unfortunately, there's 2 of them out there, so it's kind of nuts. But so you'll find just a few videos. Our webinars are posted there, as well as I'm starting on some new YouTube tutorials and stuff, just to kind of better experience for your classes, how to make them a lot better, how to kind of play around with other software like OBS. So my next kind of group of videos that I'll be posting is just more of using OBS with Zoom to kind of liven up your whole experience. Instead of just having a webcam, we can have all kinds of ads, even if you want to sell some ads.
Boy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but so I also have a website, and that's where I actually have my blog at. And that's where I post all the actual technical articles. And what's good about that is I'm actually making cheat sheets, because in the dance world, there's not many tech savvy people, and so they kind of need more guidance and something to carry around with them. So on my blog, you'll be able to find some cheat sheets for you to just kind of have on your phone. So when you start class and when you end class, you actually have something there to just follow along, instead of having to go back to my video or go back to the Facebook group and trying to find a post, right? Yeah. So the blog and my website is actually at getdownwithcliff.wixsite.com/getdownwithcliff. So it's a free, it's a free site right now. I haven't.
Yeah, free is better right now for everybody nowadays. And we'll put links in the description to everything, to the Facebook group, to his blog, to his YouTube channel, to everything you guys are listening to nowadays. If you're on podcast, then just try and remember what you're listening to. Otherwise, you can go to the DanceFam website and then to the YouTube channel and whatnot, and find it all in the description there. So that's awesome. What you guys are doing, what you guys are finding. I have a quick question. A kind of well, it's not necessarily quick, but kind of an overlying issue with the way things are going nowadays with these Zoom classes. How do you think this will affect the dance community moving on? So say even like the stay-at-home order, it gets lifted, and everyone gets back to some sort of normalcy. Do you think like this will still kind of continue for those who don't have the opportunity to teach in a studio or whatnot?
You're talking about doing online classes and
Yep.
the social distancing. I mean, you think about, you think about like just taking class. You're just taking class and that's it. You're done. But I'm even thinking about like the dance teams, or how are they doing this? How are they even managing this? Like, what about these competitions that are happening? I know right now a lot of the convention scene for the studios and the competitions, that's how they make their money. I mean, I don't even know how that's going to even get better, because that's a lot of the income. But what about the dance teams at the studios? Where are they going to practice? How are they going to practice? How are the organizers going to even deal with this? Because they're being impacted, right? I know most of the dance competitions have been canceled out here on the West Coast, but where do they practice? And how can you practice doing this through Zoom? Because, I mean, what's the average dance team? 20 or more?
20 to 40.
The 40. I mean, I forgot about that. My bad. Yeah. 50, 60. But I don't even know how that's going to happen, because, you know, we talk about the science behind this whole pandemic is they're not even sure when we're going to have a viable treatment or vaccination. Right. And so I think we're going to have to always be worried. Maybe people don't want to go back to the dance studios. People might not want to be 6 feet apart. How do you do that? And I don't know, but I think it's going to have to, you're going to have to rely on tools like Zoom or something, you know, maybe you do on-demand videos and you post it, and that might be a little bit better. And then you send feedback to the instructor or the choreographer and make adjustments that way. I have no clue. And I think right now it's going to come up. It's going to come up, I think, because I had a question for somebody recently, and I said, how are you guys even doing rehearsals? And they said, we're not doing rehearsals. And, you know, I don't know. Out here, I think we're still in shock that it's even happening.
Right.
And we're all just like kind of worried, you know, financially too, right? We want to keep all the studios. We want to keep all these teachers, dance teachers, music teachers, somehow employed. I think a lot of here in the Bay Area, at least, people are doing fundraisers, donations, buying class cards 3 months ahead, just to kind of like help support them. Because when we do come back to some type of normalcy, we want these places that we call home to still be there. We want to do it, because if not, oh my God, let's go back shelter in place. Because you know, and it's like we want, and that's for me personally as a dad and part of the community. That's why I think what we're doing needs to be done. We don't care how late we're up, because if we don't do it, it's just going to stay, you know, or there's going to be misinformation. So I think one of the things that if we can help alleviate that stress and keep people going, because I think the whole stress level for everybody is kind of driving people mad, and kind of like that's not good. And so if we can alleviate that by kind of providing kind of like start here and then choose the way you want to go, Let us worry about that whole thing, the tech side. Just keep teaching. Try to figure out a way to keep it going. Maybe not an hour class, maybe, because I don't know of kids classes being taught right now. That's the one thing I'm concerned about in the whole dance community. The adults are doing it, but the kids, I know schools that are not teaching kids classes just because it's so hard to teach online this way. That sucks, because the kids, the youth, are the ones that are going to keep this going, because you need the kids, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
And so that's another kind of topic, but
I can speak to that, at least just kind of personally. I know someone, and actually Cliff, you know, and too, Magic Mike, one of my boys, teaches at a studio, and I was talking to him last night when I was testing the Zoom stuff to interact with my gear, which thank you, by the way. He said he just got back from teaching a Zoom class for his kids at his dance studio. So I know there are people out there that are actually trying it and, you know, wanting to, at least. So it's fortunate to hear that much, at least.
Yeah. And so also kind of want to add to that question there too is Fred, we were kind of talking too before, like, what do we do after, right? Can this be used after? And so some of the things that we were kind of like thinking is that, well, why do studios have to be just local anymore at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know, we have one of our friends, Wacko. You know, he just recently was taught a class that was, where was it, Toronto or Texas?
I forget it. He did. I know he did one in the East Coast, New York, and then, he does his West Coast over here. So, I mean, a lot of people are taking his class that couldn't ever take his class.
Yeah, right. So, you know, you can. Why can't this go nation or even worldwide? Even why can't I teach at the studio in New York this way? You know, if we can solve all this tech, you know, why can't I teach at multiple studios all this way? I mean,
that's true. Yeah,
it doesn't have to be where your students are home. The students can actually go to the studio, and the instructor can be the one actually on the camera. Right. Mm-hmm. So
or even vice versa, in the sense that, say that the studios do open and we get back to 100% normal. If one of the students gets sick and doesn't want to go to the studio, that student could still be at home and take class. In that sense, if you guys still do the live streaming in you know, in addition to the live stuff. Or
personally, I mean, I'm happy as a dad who spends money on gas. I mean, no. I mean, we have to make a choice out here, because in the Bay Area, almost like in LA, 15 miles is what, an hour and a half.
Oh,
I mean, it takes a long time. So, you know, my daughter trains over at the Get Down, but, you know, she's taking classes other places, but we can't because of driving. But now she can go to city dance classes in San Francisco right after she hops off a class. I mean, we're here. She can take a class from, you know, choreographers LA, New York, and wait, we didn't have to drive anywhere, but now we're doing things we couldn't do. So there's kind of like this whole silver lining, or kind of like how do I say, we're making something good from a bad situation. Right. But yeah, you're right. We talked about, like, what do we do after, man? I don't want my daughter to lose out on these opportunities now since we're back to normal. It would be great to maybe think about the game plan using technology like this or hardware to say, hey, you guys might want to think about this as a new revenue stream, because I think that I want my daughter or dancers to be able to take classes everywhere. And so that would be kind of dope if we can kind of get ahead of the game, because I know people are worried about now, but you got to think about the future. Wait a minute. Let me continue to have these online classes. I don't know how it's going to be done, but I think that's the next step. Obviously, keeping the studios open now, supporting the community, but after, let's keep this kind of like open kind of community where, shoot, I can jump on a New York class at 3:00, and then I'm going to go to my class here in LA, and then I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to go outside. But I think there's something here that obviously it was a problem, but wait a minute, this can be something where later on, this can be another revenue stream or opportunity for dancers.
Yeah, for sure. And well, actually, the website, Steezy, they've been doing it for a while in
Right.
the sense of offering classes. It's mostly on demand stuff. And actually, I think it's 100% on demand stuff. So it kind of loses the interactiveness sense of things. But if they could find, if anybody could find a way to kind of bridge the whole social aspect of dance, along with the tech industry, then then you'd be on to something really, really magical at that point. Because now, I mean, even with Zoom, like when I was talking to Mike yesterday, he said that he has to mute all of his students because they're kids and they're all going to be wanting to jump in and do whatever and kind of distract from the actual teacher. So yeah, if you guys can come up with something, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, we're working on it. We're working on it.
Cliff.
But actually, to kind of bring it back a little bit too, is that when I was first thinking about like how we're going to solve all these issues, I started just looking away from Zoom, right? And thankfully, the owners at the Get Down kind of was like, well, it is also about the interactive experience, right, that Zoom provides. And I was like, okay, well, what can I do to kind of combine the two? Even though that I was still looking at other platforms, I just said, you know what, we do need to keep that interactive experience going. And in a way, like what I plan to do is actually start writing some articles too about just how to kind of teach differently. And what I did actually on my last Top Rock class was I started just talking and teaching more about theory and your mindset in dance. And then also to coexist while you're dancing. So I gave them all these kind of different, how do you say this? Like case scenarios. Or I told them one time, like, think of what a mime would do, right? And just kind of imagine yourself. I want you to close your eyes and just imagine, what would a mime do in these kind of situations? What if the mime sees a tree in in his walkway path? How does he get around it in that animated kind of sense of way? So it's not just motion and teaching dance in the sense of where it's got to be all just body movement and music. There's a mindset, right? You have to be right in the mind as well as in the body to be able to dance in this new generation and new era, right? Like I tell my students all the time, like when you're on stage or when you're performing or if you're in a battle, it's that 30 seconds of fame that you have, and you can be anybody that you want to be, just like an actor, right? Or an actress,
right?
You are a performing actor and actress, right? So your mind and your personality can flip, right? For those 30 seconds on stage, you can just be totally someone else, right? And it doesn't mean you have to be that way. Some people think that, oh, well, I don't want to do that because I'm going to start being that kind of person. Well, you got to remember, you're acting, right? So you're just there those 30 seconds. So if you're a b-boy and you're like hard and have that really, harsh personality, that's just that time that you're performing. Mm-hmm. You could be totally the opposite when you step off that stage, right? So I kind of start teaching more theory in my classes. And this wasn't just from, this whole online class experience, but it was beforehand too. I just brought it over. And I talk to my students a lot more on things. So we'll stop for maybe like 10 minutes and we'll just talk about mine. So, we're all tired already. I teach a Top Rock class, so we're like burnt real quick, after warm-ups. Take a 5-minute break just to drink water and let's talk, right? And then we can get back into dance. So it's that combination in my own experiences that, that's where you can have that interactive experience and where you're constantly talking, and we can get back to dance and then we can talk again, and back and forth. So while, yes, for Zoom, we do have to keep everybody muted while we're actually instructing, we can easily turn that mute off and actually have a discussion at the same time.
Yeah, and it'd be good. Like, I'm in 100% like agreement with you in the sense of needing that mindset to be taught as well, because nowadays in like 80%, 90% of classes per se, you go in, you learn something, you learn a routine, and then you leave without having kind of learning anything else besides the dance or surrounding it. So it'd be interesting if this could be offered in addition to the movement classes as like a 30-minute class that you take online where you just kind of talk about dance and whatnot. That'd be actually really interesting. You should somebody should do that. Anyone?
I think it's a good. I mean, Cliff's point. I think a lot of studios who teach, let's say, we talk about hip hop, kind of don't teach the history behind, like, shoot, wait a minute, you're using the word hip hop or like the dance styles or whatever. I mean, yeah. So, if you can't somehow, because of the technology, you can't have these little discussions or everything like that, you can have a 30-minute class, but somehow use something like Google Classrooms or some type of online platform and have like supplemental stuff. Yeah, exactly. Maybe for, let's say, Cliff's Top Rock class. He talks about like the history already, but if someone can't or doesn't know it, link YouTube videos, have like a quiz, have a whole curriculum there. And now you're touching something that you did not cover before. And I think as a student of dance, this is those opportunities where, maybe you actually rethink the curriculum and actually have this. So, wow, I'm teaching much more than just dance. If it's a ballet class, you talk about or jazz, you history of like Fosse or some other dancers that I don't know their names, but it's one of those things where, yeah, man, 20 minutes of choreography, but you have all this other stuff, these discussions that Cliff has or another dance instructor. Do it different. I mean, you don't have to have an hour of choreography or but you can have these classes. Maybe Monday class is this, or and I'm maybe talking about like even like the kids classes who have more frequency. Right. Monday is dance theory. Wednesday is we're going to teach the combination. Friday we do something where we all review. We all go on. I know Cliff has a site for all the dance kids, the team to actually connect with. Maybe you do it like that. Even though your class is only a Thursday class, do more. Yeah. And that's a conversation you have to have with obviously dance studios, but yeah, do more. And I think it's going to be more rewarding because now when this pandemic is over or more contained, your students are going to be much more knowledgeable. Your students are going to be, wow, it's going to be
even hungrier.
And I know we're all thinking about this right now, what's going on, but that question kind of and what Cliff said got my mind thinking of, even whatever we're doing here 2.0, because I think it's something that maybe the dance studios or instructors do, because now it's like some people can't dance, or some people don't have the ability to do that. But shoot, I'm going to log into a class because somebody's talking about history of waltz or bachata or something like that. I'm going to go in for that. Maybe I can't take the class, but I want to learn the history. And so now that's another student you didn't have before. And so I think there's just so many possibilities. It's just hard because some people don't know how to implement it or start. So I think that's the challenge. Which
is where you guys come in. And like, this is a lot of food for thought. And it's kind of awesome because of, again, like out of this nightmare of a pandemic, we kind of find all the silver linings and stuff that we can kind of bring in to the world afterwards, and it's just a general improvement of the dance community, and I gotta say, like, after talking with you guys, it's like it's more encouraging to see all these possibilities and see how everyone's kind of responding to this, where people aren't just sitting down, like they want to get online, they want to teach, they want to take class. It's so hats off to you guys. I take my hat off, but I have headphones on. I don't want to lose that. But this is a good place to call it quits. I want to thank you guys for having this discussion with me. Cliff, Fred, thank you for coming on, man. Guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it.
Of course. And so Cliff, where can people find you? I'm going to link everything again in the description, but just kind of give another spiel about where people can find you.
Yeah, so our main Facebook group, if you want to learn more about the tech that we're doing here for the community, is what's that name again? Yeah,
it's the live streaming online dance and music class tech support group.
LOMTG. All right, man.
There's a lot of it.
Yeah, And then also, I'm on. I have my own Facebook page at Get Down with Cliff. You can find me on there as well. My Instagrams, I have a few. You can actually find me at CabLabin. That's my personal one. Feel free to add me. But I also maintain a new DJ company that I'm starting as well called ISL DJs, or Imperial Sounds and Lighting. So you can find us under Imperial_DJs on Instagram. We also have a website at ImperialSoundsAndLighting.com. You can find me there. I have a YouTube channel. Again, search me under Get Down with Cliff. What other channels do I have? Oh, the Get Down. Sorry about that.
Yeah, of course,
the Get Down. Yeah, look it up. GetDownDanceStudios.com. We're in the heart of Japantown, San Jose. All at home.
Biggest class, man. 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah, so if you want to take online classes, we do offer almost all week. I think including on Saturdays now too. So Monday through Saturday, there is an online class throughout the entire week, somewhere in whatever you kind of learn. There's a lot of other dance studios here too, and actually, I've been trying to work on combining everybody's online classes and just kind of, that way, like, we all know what's happening around in the Bay Area, or
sure, like a big schedule.
Yeah, so, and some people have already started doing it just for the specific styles, but I actually want to combine them all so that we all can take everyone's classes and support each other on this. Yeah, but nice. I think that's all my channels.
I think so.
Fred, where can people find you, man?
Yeah, so you can find one of the groups that I manage on Facebook, Freestyle Dance Collective. You can learn about battles around the country, what's going on in the freestyle dance community here in the Bay Area. But if you join the group, if you want to post kind of your event, you want to know what's going down in the freestyle dance community, look for Freestyle Dance Collective on Facebook. The Instagram that I have a few too. So Freestyle Dance Collective. That's the one for the freestyle dance scene for the youth. I connect with a lot of the dancers, not just in the Bay Area, worldwide. And it's just a place for everything freestyle dance. If people on the East Coast want some fresh vintage gear, I also have a small business, Fresh Vintage Wear. If you want that Adidas, Reebok, Todd One, Hilfiger polo, check me out. Fresh Vintage Wear on Instagram. We ship worldwide, so you can find me there. And we're always on the group, answering, letting new members in and trying to make sure we kind of like help. I mean, I know we were doing like one-on-one tech support for the past couple of days. We don't mind doing that. We just need some sleep. But I think one of the things I want to say before we go is come to the group. Don't try to do this all yourself. Read the articles, see what people have posted, watch the videos. At least it's a starting point. I wish we had this starting point when we started. And so check out the articles that Cliff has posted, some of the videos. And if it's a different situation, maybe we can help too. But start there. Don't try to do it yourself because you'll have a headache. You might get frustrated. At least we take the frustration out of it.
Hey, Fred,
right, exactly.
Don't forget to plug Caitlin.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. My daughter Caitlin is one of the freestyle dancers here in the Bay Area. She's actually one of the few lockers probably in the United States. She's just turned 14, and nice. She's also, you can find her at, gosh, I don't even know her Instagram, K_fresh_1. Give her a follow. But she's doing a project. Search for scrunchies.by.Caitlin. She's converted her scrunchie business and is donating masks for frontline workers, doctors, nurses. She's making them with all her fabric. We're funding it all ourselves, taking in donations. And so right now she's made over 100 masks. She sews them. There's a pocket with, if you look here, the N95 PM carbon filters.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And so really nice. And she's donating those all. She spends over 5 hours a day sewing. And it's been really overwhelming. And, we need to help these frontline workers. So if you find her there, you want to purchase one, for every mask you purchase, we donate one mask to a nurse, doctor in the area or abroad or wherever. And it's a donation made in your name. So, if you guys want to visit it, look for Scrunchies by Caitlin on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you for plugging that. And tell her we said thank you. I want to plug again the Facebook group that they run, that this is all surrounding the live streaming online dance and music class tech support group. It is a mouthful, but definitely check it out. And exactly what Fred said, don't try and reinvent the wheel every time you want to do something. It's all laid out for you. If you want to teach a Zoom class, or if you need to for your studio, definitely check it out. And if you have questions, just post on there. And they're actually pretty quick about responding, surprisingly. I mean, not surprisingly, it's awesome. So that's it. I'm Russ Santos, your host, aka Lock and Robin. You can find me at Lock and Robin on Instagram. Definitely check out the rest of our stuff, dancefam.tv, where we'll see all the videos, and you find all the links in the description of what they said. At dancefamtv on Instagram and everywhere you can think of. We will see you guys, who knows, maybe at the end of all this. See you guys. Bye. Peace.